every single one of our major customers and minor customers all shut their doors overnight.
You need the right people in the right place at the right time. And sometimes you have the right people in the right place, but at the wrong time.
I've got to keep going forward. I've got to keep looking for revenue streams. I've got to keep looking for growth, keep looking at new ways of doing things.
But, what's the culture like at the business? What do we stand for, the values?
I've got to tick that box on my personal development program I don't really want to be here.
Scaling a business is not necessarily that easy. If it were, we wouldn't have the vast majority of businesses remaining below 10 employees. However, there are some sound principles of successfully scaling a business, and the really good news is that those principles are intrinsically linked with building a valuable business. So that means that if we're building a scalable business, then we're also building a valuable business. If you'd like to understand more about those principles and access a range of resources to help you in your scale-up journey, then why not take a look at www.bizsmarts.co.uk. That's BizSmarts, BIZSMARTS. Well, I'm still buzzing after this discussion for ScaleUp Radio, and I think you will be too once you've listened to it. And perhaps in a way, so you should be, because this time around I talked with James Fleming, who, along with his wife, set up a business called The Power Within. And it's all around leadership training, but leadership training with a twist. And in a way, they throw away the rule book around leadership training and the traditional way of doing it and focus on something that James refers to as motivational intelligence as the third level of intelligence. So we probably know about IQ, we probably know about EQ, emotional intelligence, and now we need to think about motivational intelligence. And that makes them fairly unique in this world. In fact, with one or two aspects of what they do, totally unique. So some great lessons here around leadership, of course, and it's packed with great stories and great advice, all sorts of things as to how you can help to not only improve potentially your own leadership, but also how you can start to think about developing other leaders within your business. And like a lot of us, James had to rethink his approach completely in March of 2020 and position his business online. And really, he hasn't looked back since. It's been a great success for him, and he's got great plans for the future. And as I say, there's lots of gems within here that we can really learn from. So I'm not going to spoil it anymore. Let's just go across and listen to the rest of the story from James. Welcome to another episode of ScaleUp Radio. Today, I'm with James Fleming, who co-founded The Power Within, and he is the MD. So James, welcome to ScaleUp Radio.
Thank you for having me, Kevin. Looking forward to the chat.
Excellent. Well, likewise. And The Power Within. So what is that all about?
So there's a really good story behind it, Kevin. So my background is oil and gas and construction. So I worked at a pretty senior level. Most of my career has been outside of the UK. I kind of moved out of the UK in my mid-20s. So I spent most of my career outside of the UK. I started off in semi-fab construction. I then moved into engineering. I then moved into electronic engineering. Okay. I then moved into oil and gas commissioning. From that, I stayed in oil and gas for quite a long time and just worked my way up through the organisation. Most of that was in Middle East and Malaysia. But I lived in the US, I've lived in Africa, I've lived in Australia, but most of it was Middle East and Asia. However, back to The Power Within. So how did it come about? So I decided I wasn't happy doing what I was doing. I'd lost my mojo, I'll call it. I felt like I was losing my mojo. There's a story behind that as well, but I'll get to that later. And I said to my wife, look, I want to go and create my own leadership development company. And she looked at me as if I was losing control and like, why? She worked in the same oil and gas company as me. And we had really good jobs. We made really good money. Yeah. Anyway, there's a story behind that. And I suppose we might get to it as we go through. So
I think we will. We've teed it up quite well now, so I think we probably will.
So anyway, so we comes back to the UK November 2016. And we were thinking about, what do we do? I had no idea about the UK business. I had no idea what people needed. I had been away for a long time. So we spent quite a few months kind of trying to get a feel for, what's going on. We did a lot of network. We went to a lot of business events, just to really understand what are the current challenges, what are the problems, what are the pain points that people are facing. I'm going to get to the power within them, and I promise you. What are the pain points?
We've only got an hour. Yeah.
What are all the pain points? Anyway, so we went on holiday in January of 2017. We took a month and we went away on holiday. We went to Tenerife on holiday. And when we were on holiday, we're not big sun worshippers. We're not huge fans of the sun, even though I lived in the Middle East all those years. And we were thinking about the company and what is it we're trying to achieve, and trying to come up with a name and a plan and a business model and all those things. We're sitting down and we're going through this. We're thinking a really good name for the company. And I kept saying, really, it's all about, we all have, what I'm trying to teach is we all have it inside us. We have that power within us. And it kept coming back up, the name, the power within. We all have it inside of us. And those words kept coming. My wife says to me, well, why don't you just call the company the power within?
Okay.
And I thought, okay, that's a pretty good idea. So that's really where it came from.
Yep.
It was the process of trying to find a really good name for the company, and the words "the power within" kept coming back up. And when I describe leadership and management and mindset, we all have it. We all have it inside of us. Some of us are just better at tapping into that power within. So that's how it came about. A long-winded answer.
Good. Excellent. Good. So the power within, and it's obviously around leadership. So what specifically is it that you do?
So we have a very unique process. Everything we do is based around social psychology and neuroscience. In 2016, scientists at Harvard University discovered that we had a third level of intelligence, which is called motivational intelligence. So based on that research, it goes back slightly further than that, but based around that research, I'd already started to study around 2014. I'd started to study what makes people successful. I would look at people in my own organization. I would think, they both get similar backgrounds, they both get similar experiences, they both get very similar educations, but one person always seemed to be float to the top, and the other ones always seemed to struggle. And I was working out, what is that? What makes people, basically, be doggedly persistent and never give up when other people give up really easily? So as I was researching it, I found motivational intelligence. I found this research paper. Actually, there's a few of them, and that was the start of motivational intelligence. So
when you say the third intelligence, so we've got our IQ, the basic one, the EQ presumably, and now we've got the motivational intelligence, so the MQ. Yep. Yeah.
So it's basically the DNA of a growth mindset.
Okay.
So there's a book called The Chimp Paradox, and it talks about that. The voice, the chimp. Now the chimp is basically our subconscious. Motivational intelligence drives our subconscious. So your EQ and your MQ make up our subconscious mind. Okay. We call it, the two voices. The IQ is the rational thinking, and the subconscious is what we like to call it intuition. Mm-hmm. Based on experiences and beliefs that we hold about ourselves and others. Now, just because we hold those beliefs doesn't actually mean they're necessarily true. It's just an evolutionary thing. Yep. So what we do is we tap in. So as leadership, but it's not like leadership you've ever seen before. Now, emotional intelligence is one of the key fundamentals of all leadership development, and it's still very important. But we look at leadership from a completely different aspect. Now, let me give you an example. You've probably been on a training course yourself, and you've probably thought, oh, this is really good. And you've got a nice fancy manual, and you've went on a 3 or 4 day training course, and you've came back to work, you've put it on the shelf, and everything you've just learned is went right in one ear and out the other. So that's called shelf development, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely. So that was what was happening. Remember, I told you I would tell you the story about how it happened. So that was why the same things were happening to me and people in my team.
Yep.
And I thought, what is it that we're not getting? There's something that we're missing anyway. What I discovered is, no matter where you're from, what your background, your religion, anything, people will not adopt a new idea, best practice, or change unless we think it's a good idea, we believe we're capable of the results, and then what's in it for me? Because that's human nature. So motivational intelligence, or the leadership programs that we designed and developed, start at that point. So we make sure that you buy in to why you're doing it. You think it's a good idea, and you believe that if you implement this, you're capable of those results. So we start at that fundamental level, and then we teach the skills and the characteristics and the leadership stuff, where most training companies, they only focus on skills. Now, here's a really, really key point on this. Skills are only about 15% of a person's overall success is your skills. Your adaptability, your resilience, your courage, initiative is about 60%. 70%. So most people don't focus on that bit at the bottom. They focus on that little bit at the top. So if we imagine success was on a triangle, I know people can't see me, but let's imagine you could.
Yeah,
so
we can imagine the triangle.
And we're splitting the triangle into 3 parts. The top part is your skills. That's 15% of your overall success. The next part is your courage and initiative. That's about 25% towards your overall success in life. The other percentage at the bottom, so what you've got left at the bottom, that 60% at the bottom is your adaptability, your resilience, and accountability. And that equates to 60% of your overall success. That's where we focus on. And then we teach the skills. Most other leadership companies, training and development companies, business development companies, they all focus on the 15%. And that's why the world is woefully short of really good leaders.
Brilliant. Beautifully put. So in terms of the MQ side of things and doing this, so then how different are you? How many, you but most other people. So, if I wanted to go out there and get training on this, who are you competing with? What's the environment for you?
We don't have any competitors in our particular market.
Okay.
We are the only company outside of North America that do motivational intelligence leadership training. In fact, we are the only company in the world that offer an executive diploma in leading with motivational intelligence. Okay. And it's UCAS certified, SQA certified. So we're the only company in the world that actually offer so it's an actual like a mini MBA type thing.
Yep. Excellent. And how does the business model work for you? What does it look like? That's a diploma. How is that delivered? Is that online? Is it face to face? Secondly, how are you charging for it? What are your revenue models? Those kind of things.
Yeah. Okay. So pre-COVID, let's go with that one first. So pre-COVID, everything we delivered was face to face. So in businesses, organizations, local hotels, where people would come along, you put on breakfast, lunch, dinner, all those good things. So we did everything face to face pre-COVID. Now, pre-COVID, we had 4 employees, myself, my business partner, who's also my wife and co-founder, and we had a trainer, subcontractor trainer, and we had an assistant, so a general assistant, and everything was face to face. Everything was done in hotels or local businesses. And then as happened to most people, on the 27th, and I'll get to your answer in a minute. Then the 27th, I know I like to tell stories, excuse me. On the 27th of April, March 2020, our whole world collapsed, literally. We had on our board, we probably had about £180,000 worth of business sitting on the board. And literally that week leading up to that, one client after another, basically cancelled their contracts, cancelled all their work. And we were sitting thinking, what are we going to do? I was really, my head was starting to get a not a nice place, as you can imagine.
Yeah,
So,
your adaptability, resilience, and accountability was taking a hit.
it was taking a big hit. However, I remember we're standing and looking at the office board and I looked at my wife and I says, imagine we could start again, knowing what we know, the companies that we work with, what we've created, the content we've created, imagine we could start again. So I got my phone out and I took a picture there. We're huge goal setters. Now, I know your people listening to this won't see it, but I've got a huge goal board, personal, professional, financial goals, all listed on my board. And I'm very focused because I'm a big planner, all about plans. Yeah. Anyway, took a picture of it and I jumped up and I wiped the board clean. And I said, let's start again. I says, we cannot go into businesses. Why don't we go virtual? Now, we already had started that seed earlier on in the year, kind of late 2019, early 2020. We'd already thought about going digital, but it's like everything else. If you've got something that works, you kind of go, I'll get there eventually. So we had no choice. So we literally emptied the bank. We got, I think, £10,000 from the government for our rents and rates thing for the business. And we went out to Upwork and one of those other websites. And we basically,
Upwork, yeah.
Fiverr and Upwork, yeah. And we basically hired experts in their field and says, we want to make this digital. Mm-hmm. So they started building the systems and the processes and the platforms, and I was doing all the videos and everything like that. And then, so it took us about a month to start our first 2 or 3 programs fully digital. When I say fully digital, virtual, like this, virtual.
Yeah, it's quite quick.
By the August, we had made more money. Now, this is during COVID. We'd made more money by the August than we'd made the previous 2 years.
Right.
By not sticking our head in the sand. We actually doubled our marketing budget. So we thought, listen, we're all in. We're as well just going for it. So we doubled our marketing budget. We brought on marketing companies. We just went to town. Yep. And we thought, we're either in and we lose everything, and at least we know we went down fighting, or we stick our head in the sand and we do nothing.
Yep. And
let me just say the rest is history. We've now got 15 staff. Our turnover is just about to hit the million. We'll slightly less this year, but next year we're looking about 1.4, 1.5 million. So not too bad.
Very good. Excellent. And I imagine also that when before COVID, you were presumably with your face-to-face, it was generally around Scotland and the surrounding area. And I'm guessing now you're reaching a little bit further afield.
Yeah, so now we're worldwide.
Yeah.
Before we were only based in Scotland, so Glasgow, Edinburgh, Dundee, Perth, and Aberdeen. So we were running events once a month in each of those cities. So we're running about 5 events a month.
Yep.
Now we now do one-to-many, and we run numerous events. All our staff are all virtual. They're all flexible working. They're all home-based. They're all over the UK. Our clients are all over the UK. It's just a brilliant business model. And our costs are half than what they used to be. So that means we can spend a lot more money marketing, graphic design, budget.
Yeah, and developing better courses and all of those good things.
Yeah.
And other courses purely online. And what I mean by that, or are they hybrid in the respect that you've also got one of your advisors that is doing some live stuff as well? So are they kind of recorded webinar type courses, or standalone, or are they also doing the hybrid?
So both. So we have fully online. Most of our courses are all, we call them virtual. So like on a Zoom. So we use Zoom for 90%. So let's say leadership course. So you work for a large company and you don't particularly want to do anything in-house. You think, I've only got 2 or 3 people I want to put in the course. So you probably don't have the budget to maybe spend, 50, 60 grand on an in-house program. So you might just want to send 1 or 2 managers. So you would join what we call a mixed cohort.
Yep.
Normally between 10 and 15. We've ran some with 20 people, but normally between 10 and 15 people from all different companies. They come in as a kind of, we call them a mixed cohort.
Okay. Yeah.
We run them as sessions, so we do them in small chunks, like
okay,
3
so
hours.
it's not, sorry, it's delivered live. It's not like a Moodle. Moodle would be part of it, but not like a Udemy where you've got a pre-recorded course that you just go on and you do in your own time whenever you fancy. This is typically with groups of people, live training. You've got the interaction going as well, but it enables you to do more one-to-many, but virtual and therefore remote. Yeah.
Exactly, Kevin. That's exactly the model. And we tell lots of stories because we're really good at remembering stories. We're terrible with facts, but we're always good at remembering stories. So we try to teach through storytelling.
Yeah. And do I pay then per course essentially if I'm a customer?
Yeah. So generally what we do is the course would be, you would pay for the full 7 sessions.
Yep.
Normally paid up front, of course, but we do have payment plans. But we also have a very good model because we work a lot within the construction sector. We can get access to funding. So a lot of companies come to us and they say, oh, I didn't know I could get funding. And we go and we find out, we go and research and get the funding for them. Because one of our kind of missions is to offer, what we call life-changing training and development to people, no matter what your background or your budget. So
right.
We will always find a way. So let's say a company, they're like, James, I would love to do your training, but we just don't have the budget. Even if we can't find the budget for them, we can't find training, we generally put them through it anyway. So we're very much of a, we try and stick to our mission of.
So anybody listening, just contact James and say you can't afford it, and you'll get it for nothing. Yeah.
Listen, it's part of our values. Is in fact we have a very big social part of our business. Yeah. So we business coach 5 companies every year, free of charge. So if it's companies that are struggling, we put people through our courses. It's not a business model. Yeah. But we do open our courses up to people who are struggling and would really like to attend, life-changing training when they don't have the budget.
And who is your ideal type of customer?
So that's a tough one because I've thought about this. We don't have an ideal customer because we believe that the world is woefully short of really good leaders. Now, when I say leader, I don't always mean the person at the top of the tree. Indeed. Because I believe leadership is about, influencing people. So you have influence and people want to follow you. So leadership for me can be at any level of the organization. Yep. Yes, we tend to have mostly business owners, senior management, senior leaders, but we still have people come through that are maybe quite low level management, because I believe that's a really important time, because that's when we generally learn a lot of our bad habits.
Yeah.
Because we're modeling someone that we think is a really good manager or leader, but maybe not so much.
Yeah, but equally, as you're saying, if we can instill some good habits there, if we can really get those going, then not only is that going to help me as an individual be more effective and progress up the ladder, but obviously it's helping the business as well, isn't it? So okay, so you're helping anybody. So they're typically people within. So is it the individual that's coming to you, or is it the company that's coming to you and saying, I've got some individuals that I'd like to put on it?
Both.
Right.
So Kevin, we have both. We have companies coming to us and saying, I've got 5 females within a kind of mid-level management, a senior women in leadership course that looks amazing. I would like to put them through the course. Great. And then I always go back and say, if you can find another 2 or 3, we'll do one just for you. And we'll do it specifically. So we would then sit with, let's say, you're the CEO or senior ops director, and you'd say, and I would sit with you then and say, Kevin, what are your biggest challenges right now in the business? Give me your 3 or 4 top challenges, and we'll build the leadership course around those specific challenges, because it'll be new. It won't be new to them, but still using our own framework and methodology. Mm-hmm. But we kind of frame it around those specific challenges. So a bit of both.
Yeah. Very good. Excellent. So fundamentally, you're talking about MQ, so motivational intelligence, fundamentally, what is the biggest difference then if I come on one of your courses compared with going on one of those that standard leadership and management type course?
So fundamentally, most leadership courses are very, very similar. Fundamentally, right? They're all about traits, characteristics. Yeah, we have big emphasis on emotional intelligence, empathy, understanding, which are huge. We do a lot of that as well. What makes us different is how we do it. It's the way that we do it, and we do it through, as I said before, storytelling.
Yep.
So to really understand, we need to know what MQ is. So our brains have evolved over time, right? So the reptilian brain is our brain when we were way back in time, and that's where all of our fight or flight mechanisms lie.
Mm-hmm.
That's where your motivational intelligence sits. Now, we used to believe that we were emotionally driven animals. So we were always driven by an emotion. We now know that is not true. We now know that something is driving those emotions. And that something is what we call our motivational intelligence, or our dominant thoughts and beliefs. So whatever we hold about ourselves or about others drives what we call our instinctive nature about decisions we make, the way that we manage, and the way that we lead. For example, most leadership courses are all about, I don't like really saying this out loud a lot of the time, but command and control, carrot and stick leadership.
Mm-hmm.
My belief is 5 to 10 years from now, if you're an organization who's still using command and control leadership, you will not exist.
Mm-hmm.
We're all about trust and inspire. How can we trust our people to inspire them to want to do more? Now, I want to add a point on that. There is a direct correlation. Now, this is a study that was done across Europe and the UK. There's a direct correlation with how happy your employee is at work and their longevity of life. So in other words, if you've got an unhappy employee, they will go on to not generally live a very long life. That, if we actually break it down, is a massive responsibility. I feel it's my responsibility to get out there and show people there's another way to lead and manage. It doesn't have to be carrot and stick. It doesn't have to be command and control. Let's actually go out and ask our people. So tell me, Kevin, what's important to you? And then make that important to me in my business.
So
that my employees are happy at work and then go home and feel fulfilled. So the byproduct of that is productivity in business, which means generally more profit.
Yeah.
People struggle to get that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So fundamentally, if I'm a business owner listening to this, and I love what I'm hearing, I've got a choice. I can send people on your courses, which is great. If I'm not ready to do that, how do I what are some of a couple of little practical things that I can do in my business that will start to get me some way towards where you're saying?
Cliche, listen to what's happening in your business. Listen to what your employee. So again, there's a really clearly defined, right, in my world, right? So, and this is, I suppose, a bit of advice then. If there's a problem, you're the problem. It's not your employees. So if you're a team leader, a supervisor, a business owner, and there's things in your business that are just not going to plan, you need to be thinking about, what am I saying or not saying? What am I doing or not doing that makes my employees, it makes my team think that it's okay to be this way? Because it really does fall down to people follow leaders. They model those behaviors. So my number one piece of advice is go look in the mirror and ask yourself, what is it that I am doing wrong? Am I being authentic? Am I doing what I want to say, doing and saying what I want them to do? And so that congruent. Yeah. So these are the key things. For me, it's always go look in the mirror and actually ask yourself, truly, what characteristics, what traits, what am I giving off that makes my employees think this is okay?
Yeah.
So that's the number one for me. And then secondly, it would be, have you ever sat down with the key people in your business and asked them, so tell me, Kevin, what is it that drives you every day? What's really important to you? Not business. Why does Kevin get up in the morning?
Yep.
What's really important to Kevin? You'll probably find it isn't money, it isn't anything like that. You'll probably find that you want your kids to have a role model, and you want them to know that they can always, strive for happiness in life. And there's always things there. And if I, as a boss or a manager or a leader, if I can help Kevin get what he wants, Kevin will help me get what I want.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So
Yeah,
those
absolutely.
are my bits of advice.
Yeah, very good. No, that's excellent. Good. So let's go. Let's go back then. So you maybe the time, and you've explained why you set up the business. Have we had that full story about the about you? We talked about the James Fleming. Have we had that story about you losing your mojo? Have we had that yet?
No, we're going to. Do you want me to give you the mojo story?
Let's have that.
Okay, so part of my own development, I work for a large American oil and gas company. So I was very fortunate that they do focus a lot on leadership and things like that. And they do send you a lot of training courses. You have executive coaches and things like that. And part of my own growth within the business was they moved me away from operations for 2 years, and they moved me in an HR role. Now, they dragged me kicking and screaming because I'm thinking, why?
Yeah. I'm
an operations guy. My job is to make money for the company and make sure that the work is getting done and make sure everybody's happy. And, that's my job. Why would you want to move me? And I reported to a guy called Khalid Nu, who was the senior vice president at the time. And he was a Saudi. And I remember Khalid says to me, James, he says, you right now are a diamond in the rough, and it's my job to clean away that rough. He says, so I want to take you out of the oil and gas operations, and I want to move you into a part of the business that's the exact opposite. So they moved me. I was living in Dubai, so they moved me into a role, and it was I was looking after the career development aspect of the business. So they had KPIs right across the whole organization. Now, in our organization, we had 9 regions, or we call them geo-markets, and we were the 6th worst out of the 9. So we were the 6th worst from 9 regions when I moved into the role.
Yep.
And all I did was I sat down, I thought about, what do I think about HR? What do I, when I was operations, how did I think? I used to be like HR, bad word. Yeah.
Yep.
And I thought, how do I break down the barriers so that I can then get operations to own career development rather than feel like we're just dumping stuff on them all the time? So what I did is I then identified high potential employees in every area of the business. And I got their management to make it one of their bonus structures was to own part of that career development. And within 6 months, we had taken us from 6th worst to number 1 just by changing the way we thought about people development. So rather than HR throwing everything at operations, I got operations involved. So I'm getting to the story, I promise.
Because this sounds great so far. I'm thinking, where's the lack of mojo? Where's the?
Okay, so I became alive. Something sparked inside me. I couldn't even describe the words about how it was making me feel, and watching people and showing that connection and showing people we care, and that there is people out there that cares about their career, and sitting down with Kevin and saying, Kevin, you've been in this role for 8 years. What do you want to do, Kevin? Where do you want to go? Let's look 5 years in advance. Where does Kevin want to be? I've always wanted to move into project management. Kevin, that is a brilliant idea. How do we get you there? I don't know. So what I want you to do, Kevin, over the next couple of months, go and find out what training you need, what support you need to get yourself to there in the next 12 to 24 months. So once they came back to me, not all of them did it, but the ones that really wanted to drive their career and really wanted to make a change would come and say, well, if I do this and do this, we would then task their management team to say, look, you've got an employee that cares. And that started this mega ball rolling. Anyway, so I did it for 2 years. And then they offered me a very lucrative position to go back into operations. And I didn't want to go. I wanted to there was an HR training director role that I'd applied for. And my boss, Khaled, had said, James, we need you back in operations. You've proven that you're rough diamond. You've proven that you can do other things. We need you back in operations. That was the mojo. Right. I moved into operations and I just couldn't find it. I was miserable. I was sitting in my office in Dubai. I was daydreaming. I was just unhappy. And I remember LinkedIn. Now, LinkedIn back in 2014 was pretty new. And I remember sitting on LinkedIn. We used to use LinkedIn for hiring people. Mm-hmm. And I remember reading an article on LinkedIn this one afternoon. And in the article, it was talking about our biggest regrets when we die. And it was about a palliative nurse. Okay. And the palliative nurse she interviewed, mostly elderly people who were all dying with terminal illness. And they were talking about the 5 biggest regrets. And out of the top 5, 3 of them, I'm thinking, that's me. Mm-hmm. That's me. I was so wrapped up in, making my parents proud and making all this money. I'm a wee boy from Glasgow who left school with literally no qualifications. I know the stereotypical story who my teachers thought would never go on and do anything in life. And something inside me, there was a spark that says, no, I get to control this. It's my decision. And I was reading this article and I was sitting in tears. I was sitting in my nice fancy office with my swimming pool in my garden, a nice fancy car, and I was in tears thinking, oh my God, this is me. I'm going to have all these regrets in life. I phoned my wife and I says, we need to leave. We need to get out. And that was that start of what is it you're going to do? Right. Well, this is what I want to do. And I started to research all this stuff. So from 2014 to 2016 we started the cogs turning.
Brilliant. No,
we
really
packed
good.
up and we left.
Yeah, fantastic. So you set the business up. Initially, you was all face-to-face training. Then COVID hit, and we've heard how you adapted around that. You wiped your whiteboard clean, started again, and we know that worked. And you've got yourself to 20 people or so since then, and a nice turnover. So what have been some of the things clearly you got the strategy right at that aspect of then the offerings right. What are some of the other things you think have contributed to that success since you turned things around during lockdown?
My team, right. Hiring good people. Okay. People are our biggest asset. I mean, I hate using the word asset, but they are a massive asset to any company. Are your people. If you can get the people right. Now, what I do is I'm very aware of what my strengths are. I'm also very aware of what my weaknesses are. I generally hire people who are way better at something than me. Okay. So I think very strategic hires. Yep. Because that's enabled me now. I am truly a visionary when it comes to the business now. I actually look at the business, 12, 24, 36 months in the future and who I'm going to need. So I start my hiring process 6 to 12 months before I need you. Mm-hmm. I start that little seed and I talk to people and I try and identify. I watch them on LinkedIn. I look at their posts. So really good people has probably been the number one thing. And not just hiring them. Once you hire them, you're hiring them for a reason. Let them do what you bloody hire them to do. Don't try and tell them what you want them to do. try and guide them, because ultimately you want your people to have the same values and vision, purpose and mission. Now, without being corny and using those words, they are very, very important to us. You know, our mission, our vision, our values are massive, you know, for how we grow and develop the business and how we hire. So definitely people, if you can get the people right. The problem is most people hire based on that top of the triangle again.
Yeah, so we're hiring on the skills. Yeah.
We don't. I hire an attitude, purely attitude.
Okay.
Now, of course, skills are important. So if you're going to hire a digital marketer, make sure they have skills around that. But we go through quite a rigorous interview process. You know, we get them to present our own company to us. And so we really, because a lot of people say they want to work for you and say they're all of these things, but the minute you put some challenges in front of them, the good ones will stand and fight. The bad ones will go and say, this is not for me.
Yep.
That's how we hire really good people.
Excellent. Very good. So what it's a couple of things there that you've definitely got right. And actually, while we're on the people, you're clearly building a great culture by the feel of it. How are you managing to keep that culture as you get more people on board? And I'm guessing a lot of these people are remote as well.
Everyone remote.
Yeah.
The key is authenticity and fun.
Okay.
We don't want people to change. We just want people to enjoy what they do. I mean, for example, every Monday morning from 8 till 10, we have our meeting, our operations meeting. Everyone's invited along. And even when we're having serious conversations, we are having so much fun. Okay. You know, it doesn't feel like, I'm the boss, and, and we don't really like to have those dividing names in the business, hierarchy. We don't like to have that. I'm one of the team, and I talk to my team like I'm one of the team.
Yep.
You know, that's how we communicate. We don't have a commanding crow, a carrot and stick. Yep. You know, they're well rewarded. We're always talking about our values and our vision. You know, in fact, we onboarded. This is amazing. I get emotional even thinking about it. When we onboard someone, once they're hired, they come into the first meeting, and what we do is everybody gets to introduce themselves, and we talk about goals. We're huge goal driven, but we break it down in such an easy way. And generally, when people are saying, I'm James and I'm the managing director, and people are telling others, new people come into the business, they don't talk about being an employee. They talk about it's like this, I found my purpose. And when people talk about your business like that, that's infectious.
Mm.
You know, it's almost like, I mean, on Monday there, we'd hired a new salesperson and a new accountant, and they were into it. So on last Monday when we were doing our meeting, and we were hearing people talking about the business, and my wife was she was tearing up hearing other people talking about our little baby like that. Yeah. You know, it is incredible. And that, I think, if we keep that, and it can be tough. Now, the size we are right now, it's easy. When you start getting to 40 and 50 and 60 people, it becomes more difficult. But then what we will do is we will hire people, and that their job will literally be to build that culture.
Okay.
Yeah. So that will be, there will literally be, another one I want to mention, another really good point. We have a creativity day. So all our employees once a month get a day, a day off. They actually get a day, it's not a day off, but they can spend it however they want around themselves or the business. And it's a day where they can go be creative around their roles, their responsibilities, things that they enjoy, things that they don't, how we can improve it, how we can make it better. And they can feed it back or they don't. There is absolutely no commitment. And it's amazing the difference it's made to the business, because just some little ideas that they come up with, I'm going, wow, that's great. I would never have thought of that. Yeah. You know, things like that are amazing. Development, all our employees get to own their own development. We don't scoff at cost. You know, if somebody says, oh, James, there's a new X, Y, and Z, I would love to learn that. Go find out what it costs. Tell me, we'll pay for it. Away you go. So we try to keep that as well as one of our values. You know, that never stop learning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, excellent. So lots of things you've obviously got right. What looking back on those 2 or 3 years, what might you say you either got wrong or perhaps you could have done better or would do differently with a bit of hindsight?
Not going digital sooner.
Yeah, right.
Was huge because, okay, yeah, we turned it around. We were very lucky that we turned it around really, really fast. But we knew that digital, we probably knew a year to 18 months before. In actual fact, we'd applied for a digital development grant about 10 months prior to this, and we got refused it, which in hindsight was great because we don't owe anybody any money.
Yeah.
But we were thinking about it. I knew that we probably had to, but I was always frightened that going digital, I'll lose that connection.
Yeah.
You know, I would lose that connection. But if you have people who really believe in what they're teaching, and you concentrate the learnings, you know, very specifically, you can get the passion across. You can really sell the content, if you know what I mean. And I think I wish I had learned that a little bit earlier on. And so that's one thing I would say I wish I did earlier on. The other would probably be hiring people rather than consultants. We used to use lots of consultants at the start, but in actual fact, what happens, because you're always thinking as a business, particularly when you're a small micro business, you're always thinking, I don't have the money to pay a salary.
Indeed.
But when you actually look at the long picture, you actually end up paying a lot more for a consultant than what you would if you brought someone in-house. So that's another one. I think getting out of that mindset, that kind of money mindset that holds us back is a biggie. And I get it. I get it. I mean, me and my wife started this business on our own, and I did everything, like everything. So I get that mindset.
Yeah.
But I wish I wish I'd known then what I know now.
Yeah, exactly. And it's always a tongue-in-cheek sort of question because with the benefit of hindsight, sure, but at the time, of course, we don't have the benefit of hindsight, so we wouldn't necessarily be able to do it differently. But so you mentioned the money side of things, and as you said, yes, a lot of us here are thinking, how do we employ that? It would be great to employ that heavyweight person, that great person, but I'm just not at the point of being able to afford it or whatever it might be. So you mentioned that in that transition to going online, you got a small grant, but basically you emptied your savings. How have you managed the cash since then? So talk us through that.
A really, really good operations director who's also called my wife.
Right. Yeah.
And we've now hired an accountant, but up until then, my wife's actually very, very good at that stuff. The COVID thing made us really think about, because up until then, it was like almost all your eggs in one basket.
Yep.
So when things go wrong, we had one product line, really. Now we have multiple streams of income. So if one thing goes, we've got other ones that we can literally, our marketing budget. So it's almost like a dial. We've got our marketing down to such an art now that I can dial up for more work or dial down to it. Like, for example, in February, we had to turn our marketing budget down because we had too much work.
Okay.
We had too much work coming in. So we had to dial it down in February. We dialed it, so that was all of February, and then halfway through March. On Monday, we dialed it back up because we're now ready. So learning that was really important. Okay. So really understanding your numbers is massive. Mm-hmm. We try to run an operating profit. Other people call it net. We say operating profit. So after everything's paid, tax, national insurance, everything, we try to run around a 20 to 21% operating profit, which this year we're above, which is not good because corporation tax is going to like me. But we try and be there or thereabouts. And so basically we're constantly reinvesting in our business. So knowing your numbers is massive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if I answered the question.
No, yeah, it's a very key, important point came out of it, which is what I was after. And I'm assuming dangerous, but from what you said is that once you switch to online, then you've been able to fund things from the cash flow for the business since then.
Yeah, fully bootstrapped. We haven't had loans other than the COVID thing that we got. I think we got 10,000. We have never had to pay another penny into the business. In fact, another good story for you. In end of 2018, we almost had to sell our car to fund the business because we were all in. I'm very much of a burn the bridges kind of guy, or burn the boats, whatever one you want to use. I'm very much, if you're in, you're in. That's another key point for anybody listening. Don't half do it. If you half do it, you'll never get the results or see your full potential. You know, if you're in, give it your everything. You know, really give it everything. Anyway, we almost lost everything. You know, it was getting to a point where I'm thinking, how am I going to pay the mortgage? What am I going to do? You know, and I actually put my car up for sale. But I just happened to land a really big deal with a pharmaceutical company. And it was like around $8,000. And I thought, well, that'll do us for a few months. And then I landed another one. And we always just seem to be able to get by. Again, that money mindset. You know, if you kind of limit yourself to saying, oh, well, what about this? And you're frightened of taking risk, you won't get the reward. Yep. Yeah. I don't know if I even answered your question again.
Yep. No, that's perfect. No, you did. Absolutely. Good story. So you've mentioned your marketing and you've mentioned you'll be able to turn up and turn down the dial. So what is your most success? You know, how do you find clients? What works for you?
Well, we've got a mix of, because we've got different clients for different products. So Facebook paid ads works really well.
Okay.
LinkedIn direct marketing, like messaging. You know, I'm massive on LinkedIn. I think I've got like 26,500 connections. So I'm very big on LinkedIn. Yep. You know, a lot of people say, you know, don't be salesy. And I get that because it's your person to person. I've built my business on I'm very direct. Hey, Kevin, I've got a great opportunity. Do you want it or do you not? If you don't want it, I'll see you later. And I'm off. You know, I'm very direct. You know, I think I've got something that you really need. If you don't need it, no, it's okay. You know, and if you don't want me to contact you, just block me. I'm okay with that. You know, I want people who. So I'm very much of a. I want to work with people that are like me too. I want people who are just really straight up and really honest.
Yep.
You know, don't be all nancy pansy. Tell me how it is. You know, really be honest. You know, I like people like that.
Yep.
So if I'm annoying somebody with saying, look, hey, I haven't spoken to you for 4 or 5 weeks. Oh, I know this would be of great interest to your team. You know, if you're not the right person, who would be? And if they say, James, stop messaging me, no problem.
Okay.
Delete, block, move on.
So Facebook direct, LinkedIn,
email marketing. We do a lot of marketing videos and content and a lot of learning stuff. So a lot of our content isn't just sales.
And that's so you know, one of the challenges we hear a lot, and we see a lot with the clients we work with as well, is trying to get to the point where you do have that predictable stream of on-profile clients, and you've got that to the point where, exactly as you said, where you know your marketing numbers and you can therefore say, well, actually we need more or less, so let's tweak it. So what advice would you give to anybody that's not quite got that yet and looking to achieve that?
So number one key is you need to know your market. Where are they? Now, just because a CEO is on LinkedIn, they're also on Facebook, but they're on Facebook for a different reason, right? So that I might not target them on Facebook, but they'll see my stuff on Facebook.
Yeah.
They'll definitely see my stuff on LinkedIn. So it's about really knowing your market, and the message is really, really important. You know, if you hire a bloody good copywriter, that's one thing. If you go and speak to someone who copywrites for your niche. So really understand your niche.
Okay. Yeah.
Really good copywriting. Try and really nail your copywriting. And this is probably going to sound really cliche, but try and be an authoritative figure within
Right.
your niche.
Yep. So
Try and kind of rise above the noise.
Yep. Good.
And I write articles like on LinkedIn. I write one article every single week, normally around something about challenges we're facing or around leadership and motivational intelligence. I always bring in my little niche in it. But I write an article every week because even though I might only get 500 views, or some is 5,000, it doesn't matter. It's not about the views. It's about building that profile.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. That credibility and bridging. We talk quite a lot about credibility chasm at some point. If you want to really get beyond the kind of early adopters and the few, you've got to really build that credibility. So in whatever way is suitable for you. Yeah. Very good.
And you've got to believe it too, Kevin.
Yeah.
That's the key. I actually believe I'm one of the best in the business, bar none. I really do believe that inherently. I'm no nonsense, no bullshit kind of guy. I really believe that what we do is game changing. So I think you have to believe in yourself like that.
Yeah. Excellent. So what kind of legacy do you want to leave?
Oh, that's a good one, isn't it? So I would probably the legacy would probably an employee-owned business where I kind of sit back and allow my team to take over. Because what I ultimately want to do, I think my own legacy would be to, I don't want to use the word angel investor because I want to be able to work with small businesses who felt the same pains I felt and let them know that somebody has their back. So whether that means invest in their business, but actually being part of it. So coming in, supporting them, mentoring them, because I've found that as one of my biggest challenges is finding really good mentors. There's a lot of people say they're mentors, but there's not many good mentors I've found out there. And I have spent a lot of money trying to find them. I find that quite a struggle. So I want to be that person for young businesses coming through, to really build that, you are really good at what you do. Let's tell the world about it.
Brilliant. Good. So what does good look like for you in the next 5 years? You've had phenomenal growth in the last 2 or 3.
So the next 3 years, so our plan for the next 3 years is to hit around the 6 million.
Yep.
When we get to that point, we're going to be looking at an exit strategy, whether it's employee owned or, we're bringing a CEO in and a COO in, probably maybe in the next 2 years. So we'll allow the CEO, somebody that knows way more about business than I do. So I want to bring in, because when you start hitting those 3 and 4 million, you really need someone. I'm a visionary. I need someone that can come in and do things that I don't really particularly like and enjoy.
Yep.
So that really means a really good, and my wife,
there's only so much you can ask her to do, isn't there?
Exactly. And we're getting to that, asking for too much now. So bringing in a really good CEO to take over her role, and a CEO to kind of take over a lot of that day-to-day running in the business, to allow us both to just be owners or founders, and then go and then do our thing. My wife is really big on, she's originally from Yemen, so she wants to help people who, are coming into the country and are really struggling to adapt. So that's kind of her thing. And my thing is, as I said, young businesses going in, spending that quality time. So I think that's it, maybe.
Great. What do you think your biggest challenge is going to be then, into getting to that point in 3 years, 6 million?
People.
Again,
people. Really, really good people are really, really hard to find. And it's not just my problem, it's societal. Because people are losing faith with companies now. I think the good thing is if I keep telling my story over and over and over again, we start to attract people. Yep. So probably it's going to be very difficult to build the business to that size, because we need to find really good people, and we'll probably make mistakes along the way. I'm a big believer in there's no such thing as a bad employee. There's only a bad hiring decision. A very big believer in that we've just hired the wrong person for the wrong role. Yep. And can we move them? So I think people is going to be the biggest challenge for us.
Brilliant. Good. This has been absolutely fascinating, full of great great advice and and knowledge. And if are you okay for a couple of quick fire questions just to round us off? So if you could go back to your younger self, what would your advice be?
Have fun.
Have fun.
But have a plan.
Right. Have fun and a plan.
Enjoy it. Don't be under too much pressure.
Yep.
But have a plan. Have a kind of idea of what you want to do, because guess what? You'll probably mess it up anyway, and you'll start again. But always have if I could go back, it would definitely be, goals and plans. Excellent.
And you've mentioned a couple already, but what resources would you highlight for people? So books, podcasts, courses, what?
All of the above. We read, we podcast. I love learning. I absolutely love learning. Yeah.
Any specifics?
Think and Grow Rich. Think Fast, Think Slow. 1 Minute Manager. The Entrepreneurial Roller Coaster. E-Myth Revisited. I could go on and on.
Oh, we got a whole reading.
Brilliant.
Which one?
Darren Hardy, the Entrepreneurial Roller Coaster, and also the Compound Effect. Daniel Goldman's EQ is a great book. I could go on and on.
I'm going to have to put you in touch with one of my colleagues. It sounds like you could have a great conversation and get a whole reading list sorted. Brilliant. Good. Well, any particular podcast that you love?
Stephen Bartlett.
Yeah. Okay.
I love it. I mean, I was running a course today, and I was talking about Stephen on the course, and it was something he was talking about a to-do list. He says he doesn't have a to-do list. He has a must-do list.
Yeah.
Well, in our business, we have a high payoff actions list.
Yeah.
So 5 things that you do every day that will drive value to you and the business, and just do those 5 things. Everything else, get there when you get there. And
Warren Buffett was famous for saying, write a list of your 20 priorities and then throw the 19 away.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Or at least park them for the next day, whatever, but focus on the 1 or 2. Yeah, good. Okay. Any particular apps that you might have on your phone or bits of technology that you use that you found particularly useful?
I don't, other than Audible.
Okay.
I use Audible every single day. Yeah, an hour every morning. So big Audible, but other than that, not really.
Good.
I mean, we're huge into technology, but for the business, CRM, systems, processes, game changing. That's another good one. Systems and processes. If you want to grow your business, invest in systems and processes. It will change the game for you.
Yeah. Good. Who's had the most influence on you?
A guy who was one of my ex-bosses. His name was Alistair Sheikh. He was vice president of Saudi Arabia. He's an Aberdonian guy. I remember when I first took my manager's job, my very first manager's job, and I went to him with a problem, and he says, no. He says, you get highly paid to solve these problems. He says, so the next time you come in my office, come with 3 solutions, run them past me. I'll ask you which one you think is the best idea, and we'll probably go with that one.
Yeah.
Changed me forever. I'm like, whoa, this is good stuff. Simple.
That's and I think that's one really super practical tip that any leader can adopt straight away if they're feeling that all the weight of decisions is always on their shoulders, is simply to turn it around just like you've done. I mean, it just said there. Great. And how can people get hold of you or find out more about what you do if they'd like to? What's the best way for them to reach out to you?
Well, the easiest, probably first way to find out about motivational intelligence is the website, which is www.thepowerwithintraining.com/MQ, and that takes you directly to our motivational intelligence page. James at TPWTD, so thepowerwithintrainingdevelopment.com.
Okay.
Email, LinkedIn, so James TPW or the Power Within Training. So all of those headings.
Right. So
all of them. It's all the Power Within Training. So if you put in the Power Within Training, you'll find me somewhere. Yeah.
So we'll put some of those in the show notes. But super. Really enjoyed talking with you, James. Thank you very much indeed for being my guest on ScaleUp Radio today.
Listen, thank you, Kevin. Honestly, I really appreciate it, and it's always good just to get some of this stuff out. So thank you.
Don't forget to take a look at www.bizsmarts.co.uk to access a great range of resources to help you in your scale-up journey. So that's bizsmarts.co.uk, which is bizsmarts.co.uk.
This has been a Monkey Pants Productions podcast.